Hi! Welcome to another episode of doing things around my house because I am eternally trapped here. What are we doing today, Hermione? Well, we're in the hallway and this is one of those projects that was just going to be a little itty bitty upcycle, and then it rapidly spiraled out of control and became a whole makeover of my hallway area. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know, but here we are. Today I'm gonna show you what I did in here to make it a lot brighter and less dungeon-like in the darkest space in my house, and B, a lot more organized, because this is what I was dealing with before. As you can see, the space is just very dark and dingy. It doesn't help that I filmed this at like 5 p.m. when it's getting dark and I had the overhead lights on, but it makes for a good before photo. So what can you do? You can also see that there are a lot of shoes and masks and things that I need by the door, but they're just taking up a lot of space and there is no organization here at all, and it was driving me completely wild, quite frankly. So today I'm going to show you what I did to tackle some of those problems. Okay, come with me.
So I got started that evening, which is why this footage is a little bit dark, but I took everything out of the hallway that I could, all of the small things like the shoes and the general junk and crap that I had lying around. Do you ever feel like your hallway becomes a bit of a dumping ground and then you really want to deal with it, but it gets so bad that you just keep putting it off? Well, that's what I was doing, and I had to find other places in the house for some of these items. Once it was kind of clear, I took out some of the hooks that I had by the door. I wanted to smarten up the space a little bit and reposition a few of the hooks. So I filled all of the holes with polyfill. This one had fallen out months ago and I just left it. I was like, oh, let's just hope no one notices, considering no one's coming into my house. Anyway, the next morning I decided to collect all of the extra stuff that was still lying around, like the small bits and bobs, and I was finally able to move this console table out of the way. I cleared it off and I took this upstairs. I've got somewhere else that I'm planning to use this, but I just gave it a quick clean first and then it was on its way. So what am I going to replace the console table with? Well, this cabinet was in my bathroom for a long time, and as you've seen over the last few weeks, I've been doing some decluttering and I've been saying I'm going to do something with this for a long time. So today is the day. This is what it looked like beforehand. It looked nice, but it had a few stains on top from some old nail polish remover, so I decided to give it a completely fresh coat of paint. But before I could paint it, I had to give it a very thorough clean, so this is what I'm doing in this footage here, just making sure there's no dust or anything left over that will make the paint look less than perfect, you know. I also took out all of the handles, which I've put to a side in case I could use them for another project in the future, but I've got some new ones I'm going to put on this piece when it's ready. And I also sanded the top and the sides really thoroughly with a light grit sandpaper, just to make sure that the paint was going to stick really well to the front of this piece. I decided to forego using a primer on this because it's kind of an MDF with a plasticky finish anyway, so I didn't think there'd be any wood grain coming through, so I went straight in with my furniture paint. And I'm using this one, which is Hessian, and it's by Rust-Oleum. It's one of my favorite colors. You can actually see it on the desk behind me as well. I think I use this color way too much. It's kind of boring, to be honest, but I really like it. It's like a subtle beige. Anyway, we're gonna make it fun, I promise. After painting the first coat, I also decided to fill the holes with some wood filler. I let this dry and then I did a couple more coats overnight, and the next day it was ready to take downstairs. So I decided to put all of the fixtures and fittings on after I'd taken it downstairs so nothing would fall off on the journey down the stairs. For the legs, I decided to screw in these beautiful vintage mid-century legs I've had quite a few of these lying around upstairs for a while. I've been dying to use them. They were a little bit too long, however, but I do fix this in a minute. But I just thought they would be perfect, and the piece already had holes where legs were supposed to be at the beginning, so this is really easy to do. Quick update on the leg situation. So as you can see, these two, I screwed them in, but the fixtures on the inside are too short and they've been pushed out by the legs, as you might be able to see there. So I've bought a bag full of 8M nuts and used those instead. And I think they're much better. So I'm going to finish these two off and hope that it stands up nicely. After a trip to B&Q, we got there in the end, and then it was time to add the handles. Oh, the battery's dying. This is why some of my projects just take so long. Can anyone relate? I had to put the drill battery on charge overnight, so everything came to a halt. Anyway, I was finally able to come in and add the new handles. These are just some brushed brass looking ones from Amazon, really inexpensive. And I think they look really nice on the front of the drawers. They're quite modern and simple, nothing too much, but I quite like them. Anyway, moving on, we have another project. I decided to paint the door. You might remember a few years ago this footage where I was scraping back all of the hardware on the door and I sanded it all down and I got it to look much nicer. I thought I'd show you this again because I've lost a bit of the footage of me painting the door, so I'm trying to fill it in here. But this is what I did a few years ago, and I did quite a number on this door really, and then I went in and I painted it this dark bluish black colour, which I thought at the time was really nice. It's very in keeping with the Victorian style and it was fun, but it's a bit dark and I'm ready for a change. It's been a couple of years now, so I thought let's give it a new lease of life. I filled in all of the holes where some of the hardware had been added to the front of the door, and I taped up the windows to make sure that there were going to be no paint related accidents. And then it was time to paint. I'm just going in with my favourite Dulux satin wood, which is somewhere in between a matte and a silk kind of finish. I use this on all of my doors because it's the perfect in between and it's a great wood paint. It also doesn't yellow very easily, which is a problem that I had with the gloss version, so I just stick with this now. Anyway, there's not much footage of me painting this door because I lost some of it, so I went and I retrieved the footage from my security camera to show you that I did actually paint this door. It was a long process over a couple of days and I went in, I think I did 3 coats, but yeah, here is the view from my Nest camera. Anyway, moving on. This was some footage I took on my phone. This was 1 coat, and then this is the 2nd coat. I think I did 3 and then some touch-ups. And then when I was finally ready, I was able to put the letterbox back on and put all the hardware back in place, and I was just really pleased that it was finally finished. I hope I never have to paint this door ever again. Don't let me paint it some silly colour. Promise me you won't let me do that. I know that sounds like something I would do. It's gonna stay white. Anyway, here are a few small projects I did to finish off the space. The first thing was putting the hooks back up. I decided to go with 2 of the same type of hook to give it a little bit more similarity, make it look a little bit more minimal. And I just put these beautiful purple ones up from Anthropology. One thing I wanted to do was add a mirror above the cabinet. It's so handy before leaving the house, just to, you know, check to make sure I've not got lipstick on my teeth or something. So I actually decided to reuse this old circular mirror that I painted a long time ago. It was originally cream, £4 from the charity shop, and for some reason I taped it up and painted it this gold colour, and then I was really disappointed because the gold was kind of an antique gold and not what I'd hoped it was going to be at all. So today we're going to change that. I painted it with a few coats of charcoal black paint to kind of add a bit of a contrast now that the door has been painted white. I just wanted to add something that was a little bit less beige into the space. So I did that, and I popped it up and I really like the way it turned out. With that done, I was then able to style the space, and I really didn't use anything new in this space. This was all here in the before footage, but you couldn't see most of it due to the clutter. So I just had a lot of fun repositioning these items and putting them back where they came from, or in a slightly different order. I put some prints up that were already there, just on a different wall, and I filled my cabinet with my shoes and my masks and keys and things I need on a daily basis. This is just, I can't tell you how nice it is to have this here now. I love it. Anyway, I'll just insert all the footage of me styling and then I'll be back. Now it's time to share with you the final result, and you know what, I think this looks completely different to the space at the beginning of the video that was cluttered and full of shoes and poorly organized. I'm really excited to keep this as tidy as possible because I've got some great organization systems in place now. I shouldn't have any reason to clutter this up, and I'm so pleased that I've painted that door. Although it was fun to have it a different color, it just brightens up the darkest space in my house and makes it feel a lot less gloomy. So even in the middle of winter, it feels just, I don't know, a bit more spacious and happy in here.
Well, with that is the end of the video, and that is what I've managed to accomplish in this space. I think it definitely looks a lot brighter in here, partially because, you know, the sun is starting to come out once in a while, but also the white door really does make a difference in the darkest space in the house, and I love the organization system in here. Love it. It's nice to be able to reuse something that I no longer needed in another part of the house too. So with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope if you're doing any projects in your house at the moment that it's going well. Let me know how it's going. I'd love to know in the comments down below. If you want to, check out my Instagram. Sometimes I post stuff about the house and thrifting and the like on there. And with all of that being said, I think that's everything. Happy decorating. See you next time. Bye.